How's it going, Binders? This is mjkk613.14. Pi, through my eyes, kind of a little series I'm putting together, trying to keep it reasonable and trying to keep the time down on my videos. I know some of my videos get long. I understand. And there's a lot of information in it. And some of them may make sense. Anyway, I'm trying to get a little more organized, a little more structured or whatever to break it up in chunks. Okay. Last one I did was kind of on the net transfer and what they were supposed to do and get the economy going or whatever it is. Well, without having a lot of, I'm going to say, because I'm not part of the pilot, I don't know what all went on behind closed doors. I wasn't a mod at the time it started. I became a mod just after it started. So I didn't have access to what was going on behind closed doors or know what was going on. And it got real hush-hush and whatever. But I don't, from what I've seen, looking from the outside looking in, from what I've seen, I don't see a whole lot of instruction or a whole lot of direction or a whole lot of anything really going on. Pretty much the pilots were on their own. And from what I see, they were kind of on their own, doing their own thing. At that time it started, there were 3 fractions, but there were only 2 that were working on getting like an economy started. The one fraction is way off the mark. They're doing their own thing, and because they're looking at it from an exchange angle. That's what they're focused on. That's what they're into. Okay. And I don't exactly know what's going on. I don't know. Anyway, that fraction is there, and they've pretty much been on the download doing it. Okay. No, the two big ones that started. Okay, is PNM and TTL. Those were the two dividing entities at the time. There has been more that's popped up since then, and there's been some other stuff pop up since then. But basically, those were the two starting the economies. Okay. And the Pi Network Marketplace they've grown their platform. They have a far reach. They do. But I think the thinking and the philosophy they were under was let the market sort out by value. Okay. And I'm not saying it was wrong, but I'm not sure whether, and I'm not trying to take anything away from them because they are all smart people, and I probably know most or all of them, and we've had issues. We've discussed, talked, got whatever. Okay. Part of it is because we disagree on how we think it should go, and the Pi Lifestyles they've gone their way. They've come up. They have their 2 different philosophies, 2 different thinkings, 2 different directions at how to get Pi economy started. Okay. The white paper, it talked in the white paper about Pi being a barter system, and I think the 2 different thoughts on barter system, Pi Network Marketplace, went to a barter system and letting the market sort out Pi value. The Pi Lifestyles, because of what happened at the start of the in-app transfer and things not going the way it was expected from a trading standpoint, started rethinking and looking at what really happened, what really going on, what Pi goal really is, and how to get there. Okay. And at the start of that, TPL, yes, all they did was cut to the chase. They skipped the whole barter issue because it's a complicated system to work out, and it takes a lot of time to work out. I'm going to get into it right now. All they did was they said, no, it's going to take too long to get there, and what we have to build, we need to start building now. Okay. And they set Pi value at $10. Anybody coming into that economy into that economy is accepting trading pie for goods that not. You got to get cash out of your head. You got to get cash value out of your head. It's not cash value. It's buying power value. Cash is cash price. Trading exchange cash price. Value is buying power value. And when you hear $10 a pie, I know most people immediately go to cash. I'm going to sell it on the exchange for cash. I have X amount of pie. I can get $10 a pie for it. I'm going to get my cash. I see it every day. I see it every day, and I hear it every day. I know that's how people are thinking because they get questioned on it every day. Because their mind is going to selling it for that amount, and it's not. You got to understand, it's not. It's buying power value. It's what I can buy. The one pie that I have is for $10. I can go to a shop and they're going to set pie at $10, one pie for $10, and I can use it to buy stuff. There's no cash value in it. No cash value. Can't trade it for any other currency, nothing else. All it is buying power value. So you have to stop the cash part of it. Get the fucking cash part of it out of your head. It will get there. It's not there yet. And everything that I've talked about up to this point should have already shown you that exchange shouldn't even be in your head right now. How they figure things, how they do things, what they look at, what to come up with some kind of cash shouldn't even be in your head because that's not the focus. That's going to happen irregardless. When we get to the point that it goes to the exchanges, that's all going to happen irregardless of whatever else has happened prior to it. That's the exchange. It's going to happen. You don't have to think about it. Because that is not the focus of Pi. That is not the focus of what the community should be doing. Okay? And if you don't get cash out of your head, we will never get anywhere. If all you're thinking about is selling Pi for that cash amount, we're not going to get there. Because the majority of people in Pi are thinking that way. They are thinking that way because they've come into Pi with pre-expectations, pre-learned, pre-whatever. They're not leaving that garbage at the door and coming in clean and seeing Pi. The ones that have put it up on the shelf for a little bit and have come in pretty much blank and started to see Pi, listen to what people that have been here are saying, making sense of what is going on. They're seeing it. They're doing it. And they're the ones that are talking the same way about Pi economy. And it has been happening gradually over time. There are more people that are understanding the economy. What should be going on in the economy. And not talking about exchanges. You gotta leave the exchanges outside, man. When Pi gets to a point that can happen, it will no matter what is going on inside, it will automatically happen. They will automatically do their thing. Automatically. You don't have to think about it. Okay? So, using the two economies that were starting at that time, Pi Network Marketplace, thinking barter. But they set a value. They set a real low value to Pi. I mean, it was like a couple of pennies was what they started at. And I think they were doing auctions or something, whatever they had going on inside. Whatever they had going on inside isn't starting an economy. No, they're trying to start an economy off of exchange thinking. You can't. It doesn't work. Pi lifestyles. All they did was cut all the garbage out. Because a barter system has to go through an evolution to get to a value. And it will. The system will. All TPL did was they cut to the chase and said, if you're going to enter our economy and we're going to set our shops, whoever is selling stuff will accept Pi at $10. Whoever is buying stuff will use Pi at $10. They just cut out all of the middle stuff and cut it straight to the chase. And if anybody knows me, that's what I'm behind. I'm behind that thinking. Okay? And as stuff was going on, we could see it in chat. The people that were in the lifestyles were making deals with other pioneers in the chats for stuff for $10. There were a lot of trades. I watched a lot of trades go down in the app, in the chat rooms, where people were buying stuff for $10 a pie. It didn't matter what it was. They were doing a dance in the chat to come to an agreement to trade pie for the goods. TPL, I mean not TPL, the Pie Network didn't see a lot of people making deals in chats or whatever, because they were off in a different direction. They had it so low and whatever. And at the time, the Pie Network Marketplace has the most people that have the feature that can transfer pie. The Pie Lifestyles has a good portion of people that have in-app transfer capability. Other economies that have started since then are running on people that have the actual in-app transfer capability, but I don't know how many or whatever it is. Pie Network Marketplace has the most. Out of 300, they have the most. Lifestyles has the second most. Everything else fractures off of there. But there are other economies started. It wasn't too long after the in-app transfer pilot started that Network Marketplace was going the way they were going the direction they were going, building what they were doing, but really they weren't adding any value or increasing value to what they had going on. And I saw some ungodly trades. I mean, they were running an auction and stuff like that. There were some ungodly joke auctions because people they don't value the pie. They valued the pie at pennies. So they were getting these auctions, and because people had a stack of pie, were thinking about themselves, they were given thousands of pie that they never should have given for what they got. They were making, those are the type of transactions that were going on. People were giving up thousands of them. They would get in a bidding war because they had a stack of pie. They would get in a bidding war just to outbid each other. You can't set a value on the money that way, okay? Because they were devaluing it so far that it was not useful. If pie's at a penny, and at that time, talking a couple 100,000 people, but even at that lowest level where people are just coming in, even though they were in an electric pie, didn't have a huge stack of pie, they could afford to buy anything. They couldn't afford to buy anything. They couldn't afford to use their pie. If they would, they wouldn't have been able to. And see, this is where I also think thinking in philosophy is different about it, okay? And I don't. They're all good people. They're all good people. They are all good people. We're just not on the same page. Doesn't make either one of us right or wrong. Well, yeah, in my opinion, it makes them wrong. Because, in my opinion, they're not thinking about the community. They're thinking about themselves. They're thinking about what they can gain, or what would happen is if they lose. I think it's more on loss. What if they lose what they have? Then they don't have what they have, and they can't recover what they have. So they don't want to lose what they have. But they're willing to give up what they have because of the value they have set. They don't want to lose their pie, but they're willing to give thousands of pie. They shouldn't be giving thousands of pie for. To me, that the thought process and the thinking is off. And I know I gotta get into that in a little bit. Okay, so Lifestyles didn't take them long to realize that value at $10 a pie was too low. At $10 a pie, the thousands or tens of thousands of pioneers could not use it. Tens of thousands of pioneers were getting cut out of the economy. They couldn't use their pie. They didn't have enough pie. Even at $10 a pie, they didn't have enough pie to buy stuff. That they would be willing to spend their pie to buy stuff. They'd be willing to use their pie to buy what they need. That's how that value was set. It wasn't set on, I don't know, I haven't heard and whatever, but knowing how people think, I'm sure the first thought that went through most people's mind, well, they set it at $100 a pie so they can get rich. It's all for them. They did it for them, and I'm going to be spending my pie, and they're going to be getting rich. There's not a doubt in my mind. Watching what I've watched in these 2 years, there's not a doubt in my mind that isn't playing in the back of people's heads. None. What they don't stop to realize is the founders and the people that set up TPL aren't thinking of themselves. No. Because they know if Pi succeeds, they don't have to worry about whether they're going to get rich or not. They already know that they will be wealthy. That's how Pi is designed. They're not thinking about themselves. They're really not. I wasn't involved in setting it up, but I was involved in setting the value of it. I know how these guys think. I know how the guys and gals that are running this think. I have a pretty good idea who's running this and how they're thinking. Okay? And TPL's not thinking about themselves. They're thinking about the community. They're thinking on the level that Core is thinking. Core is thinking about the community. They're always thinking about the community. Always. Always thinking about the community. Always protecting Pi. TPL set Pi value high enough that anybody, anytime, anywhere, in the future will be able to use their Pi coming into Pi. Will be wanting to use their Pi, be willing to use their Pi, and will use their Pi. That's the motive behind TPL. It's not the motive behind PNN. Because if it was, and I'm not trying to drive a wedge either way. I'm just trying to let the facts that I see, and I know, and I've talked to the people I know. Okay. There's not a lot of transactions going on. The people that have the capability to do it aren't doing it because they're afraid of losing their Pi, and because they're thinking on today's models and on how things are structured today. And TPL, they are thinking about community. They really are. And the people that are offering goods are not worried about whether they're going to make money back on what they're selling. Now, I'm not saying they're not concerned about being able to keep goods supplied, because they do. Whoever is offering a retail good that is coming other than your own hands, yes, they're putting out fake currency somewhere along the line to get a product to supply to the community. Hands down. They know it. They know it. They know it. They know it. But because they're afraid of not making a profit right away and not being able to recover their costs right away, they're not doing it. Okay? They're not doing it because the difference between PNN and TPL. PNN is going straight. I mean, they have not built an infrastructure to support people from outside TPN. Yeah, you can join TPN, but you can't do anything on it because you don't have in-app transfer capability. Okay. Now, is that right or wrong? In my book, though, there's nothing wrong with it. Because technically, reality, we can't do anything with our Pi. We don't have the capability to do that. So, another thing, yeah, I respect them for holding to that. I do. But I'm a part of that community too. And because their value is so low, I won't spend Pi on it. I won't spend Pi in that economy. I won't. No, I won't. Because it's too low. I'm not going to support something that's that low. Okay? But they haven't even given me an option to be able to do it. So, what good is it to me? They can have a site, a deal that stretches around the world, and it does. They have built a site that stretches around the world, but they can do nothing with it because they're not allowing anything to happen. Because of kudos, and I respect that. But I think I've been in there lately, and they've created their own coins so they can do what they need to do with coins that they've created to be able to do what they're coming, which is kudos too. Okay? And they have also raised their value of Pi to $10. That's what Pi will be trading for on their site, is for $10. Well, they went up from 2, 3, 4 cents, whatever it was, to $10. It's a step in the right direction. TPL, they're holding to $100. Buying power value. If you're selling something, that's what you're accepting it. If you're buying, that's what you're giving it. Okay. And it's because everybody at any time, now or future, and when that started, that was probably, I'm going to say maybe 300,000 people. We're at 20 million. That last million people that just joined, or 2 million people that just joined, are still able to use 1 or 2 pi to buy something. And not wipe them out, and be willing to do it again. That's why the lifestyle is set up. Okay. Now, I don't want to get too far into their economy and what else, but because I know they're getting a bad rap and getting bad mouth and getting whatever, and they shouldn't be. They shouldn't be, because they're maybe in the beginning, as they were sorting things out. Yeah, nobody does anything right the first time. They make mistakes. PNN make mistakes too. As long as you've sorted them out and you're within where you're supposed to be, that's what it's about. It's about growth. We are in beta. We are in testnet. We are, okay, this is where those kind of mistakes happen and get sorted out and fixed. So when we get to phase 3, they don't happen, and they can't happen. They're already fixed. Okay, that's what this time period is for. Okay? That's what this time period is, to do all of that kind of stuff. Okay? So all TPL did was cut to the chase. And like I say, there's an economy in China, the Pi Mall, that is trading, or that has Pi valued at $100, and I believe they should be on the up and up. Anything outside of that, I would be careful of. And there's brick and mortar places in the Philippines and Canada and Croatia, and there are spots, brick and mortar spots that have come up and have a value on Pi, anywhere from $10 to $100. Facebook also has an economy that they've started, and their value is at $15 a Pi, and they have transactions. I don't know how much about. I don't know much about Facebook, the unofficial Facebook group. I think I'm still a member, but I don't spend time there. Spend time anyway. But I do know that they have some kind of economy going. How it's working out, I don't know. But they're trading Pi at $15. Okay? And I know I kind of got off from where I wanted to, but that's where Pi economy is sitting right now. Okay? And because it was closed on, it couldn't grow. It's growing the best it can with what it's got, getting to where we're at. Okay, and sometimes you hear more, you hear less, you hear, okay. But those are there. They're unofficial. They can't be promoted, talked about, anything in Pi app, because they are unofficial from Pi app. PNN was trying to get onto dApps. Trying to build theirs into a dApp, into Pi, to be official Pi. As far as I know, that's not going to happen. They will remain a third-party dApp, or third-party app outside of Pi. TPL made a decision to stay a third-party app outside of Pi. I know why they decided that. I know why they wanted to go official. Now, it's not to say it can't happen down the road, but I do know TPL will always stay a third-party app trading in Pi. Okay. And maybe I know why they're doing it, and it's a good move on their part. It really is, because different story for a different day. Okay, so those are the economies, and I'm sure there's other stuff that started out. Just be careful of what you get into. Investigate, research before you get into anything that's involving trading in Pi. Okay. So those are started. Now, the thinking going in. I just did a condensed version of where we're at. Going in, everybody was under the mindset of barter system. And PNN started out what they believed was a barter system. TPL, they know what a barter system is. They know. We don't have time to go through that hassle and all that garbage goes with it. This is what value needs to be. So everybody can use it, and they just started trading it, which was the best move for them, which is the best move for Pi economy. Because in a barter system. I don't know how many are familiar with barter. I don't know how many are familiar with money. I don't, because it doesn't look like people know what money is, how it came about, what it's used for. Okay, they don't know how to barter, what barter is. Okay, and there are different types of barter systems. But the one that comes to mind, out of nothing, creating money, value out of nothing, there is only one barter system. Once you have something established, then you can go off into these other systems and make them work. But if you have no money, and you are going to create money and a value for that money, there's only one true barter system. And I know things around the world, there's got to be close to what was going on in the United States. I can relate it to the United States at 1700s, 1600s, whatever it is. I know Europe has a lot of history and goes back. I mean, they were moving money and they were doing credit back in the Crusades, 1200s, 1300s, and whatever. So I don't know how to make things fit in other places. I'm sure the African and Australian and all that, the Aborigines and everything are probably closer to what was going on in the United States. If you go back to when 1492, when Christopher Columbus came over here, and I don't get into debate because that's another day. Anyway, when Europeans discovered America, the only people that were here were indigenous Indian people, Mexican people, indigenous to the region. They did not have money. They did not have money as we know it. Because if you look through America's history and the mountain men and settling the West and all that other stuff, when these guys and when these ladies and gentlemen were coming over in the wagon trains and were going up into the mountains and all that stuff, they did not have money. Yes, gold was around, but gold has never been an easy form of money to use. It hasn't. It really, unless it's dust, it's hard to use. You can't really use gold. So they were trading with these mountain men would come down out of the hills after being up there for how many months or over the winter or whatever it was, and they would come down with pack animals full of furs, beaver and deer and moose and bear and what. That's what they had. That was what they earned up in the hills. That was the money they made up in the hills. They brought it down to a rendezvous somewhere and traded with the Indians for beads. For Indian stuff and whatever the Indians had, blankets and whatever they would make. That's what the Indians had to trade with. Guys would come down, they'd get together. Okay, there was no money changing hands. There was no money as we know it. Didn't exist. Didn't exist. None. So, these guys needed gunpowder and coffee and food and whatever it is, and okay, the Indians, whatever. People needed stuff that they didn't have. So they would trade what they had, what they worked for. So all of the furs and pelts and skins and whatever they had accumulated over the time, that was their money. Whatever people brought in from wherever, coffee, food, supplies, gunpowder, whatever, that was their money. Then they just went, the Indians had blankets and knives and whatever they had going on to get into the mix. The Indians traded with them too. And they did the dance. Okay? They had what they valued their pelts at or their furs at. What they had their coffee and whatever valued at. All they had to do was haggle to come to how many furs for a bag of coffee or a bag of sugar or whatever. How many beaver for this or how many deer for that or how many, okay? The Indians were good at making jewelry and knives and all sorts of. So they would trade fur for knives and whatever they had. And they did the dance. They came back. That's barter. That is barter. People coming out in the wagon trains, coming from the east to the west, they probably had some gold and some money, whatever they had accumulated from the east coast. But by the time they got out to the west coast, especially in those early days when there was nothing out on the west coast, the trail bosses, the trail hands that got the wagon trains from point A to point B, usually ended up with what money, the gold, the silver, the whatever they had, they ended up with it for getting them from the East Coast to the West Coast. So when these wagon trains set up, they had no money as we know it. None. They didn't have any. So if they timed it bad, they didn't get time to establish something going before they got to. Most of them probably passed away during the winter because they didn't have what they needed to survive the winter, unless they had certain things they could trade with the Indians and other people of that settlement community, okay, to get what they needed to get through the winter. Okay, that was bartering. Bartering goods for goods. And it didn't matter what you had. It didn't matter. If you had a still, you were a wealthy man. You were a wealthy man if you brought a still with you. You want to talk about gold? Whiskey was gold in the frontier. Whiskey was gold in the frontier. If you had a still and could create good whiskey, you were a wealthy man. Okay? And over time, as things expanded and grew, whatever, people homesteaded their own things, started growing wheat and corn and whatever it is, and canning stuff and putting stuff, that became their money. Raising chickens and sheep and goats and cows and whatever, that became their money. Handyman work, helping somebody build an outbuilding or build something, that was their money. That was their skill. That was their money. That's what they traded for what they needed. So you help somebody put up a outbuilding, and you got, I don't know, maybe a couple of goats and a chicken and whatever you felt, whatever you came to agreement, your value was worth in return for what needed to survive another day or another whatever, get through the winter. That's barter. And what happens in the evolution of the barter system, items get agreed upon value. So if I'm trading with Charles over here, I have whatever it is. I have a goat. I know for that goat I can get 2 chickens. And if I take it to Charlie over here, I can take that goat and I can get 2 chickens. It creates a usable value that everybody knows and accepts. If they see me coming with a goat, they're going to grab 2 chickens because that's what they know what I want. Well, it happens with all goods. Oranges, apples, eggs, whatever you got. Wheat, barley, sugar, rice, whatever you have has a certain value to it. And it takes a while to get there to get, so it's agreed upon, so you don't have to dance every time I go see Charlie, man, I don't want to dance with him over my goat. Unless we're sitting down and shooting shit and drink some booze and whatever. It's a different deal. Then it's killing time. But if I'm whatever, I don't have to dance every time I go somewhere to make a transaction. So once the goods gives a value, everybody's agreed on the value. Wife's doing sewing or whatever. Your wife's watching kids or whatever. It all has value. It all has some kind of value that is tradable for something else, for another good. Well, as it evolves and things get bigger and things get moving out and whatever, people start stretching out, more people start coming in and whatever it is. Well, to take a goat to town to go get a box of nails or whatever, it doesn't become feasible. Okay? Carrying 2 chickens 10 miles to go get, or 20 miles to go get something becomes unfeasible. So, when it gets to that point, the community or whoever, whatever, basically the community, because that's who you're trading with. It isn't like today where you're going 1,000 miles or you're going around the world or whatever. These are small communities. Small communities. Maybe a lot of people with small communities. I mean, they're within a day's horse ride from one another. I mean, that's where I'm at. They're within a day's horse ride from one another. Well, to drag a cow a day away, it's not feasible, it's not practical, it's not, okay? So, in that evolution, something becomes money, or what the form of money is, that people agree on that it has this value. And if it was gold, then it was gold, but most of the time it wasn't. It was whatever whatever the community valued or gave value to, whatever the community accepted as value, is what got used. And over the centuries and over everything and anything has been used as a form of money. Pebbles, seashells, rice, salt, sugar, pine cone, whatever is in that area, people use as money, as an easy form of payment to carry to go buy goods. And I'm not saying that scarcity and all that, not really. I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't play a part. It plays a part in the later of money, and how later to keep value, to keep it inflated, scarcity becomes a deal. And it will evolve there, and it will evolve into what we have today. But initially, I mean, you have no law, you have no banks, they're setting up a settlement, a city. There's nothing there. There's no mercantiles. There's no hardware stores. They're all homesteads, and you're dealing with people on the homestead. And as things grow and evolve and do whatever, you get an entrepreneur coming in, and he opens a hardware store, or he opens a pharmacy, or he opens whatever. You get doctors coming in. You got farriers and blacksmiths and all this coming in. And I mean, if you're a blacksmith, you are top on the list as far as wealthy and needed in that community. And who knows? Maybe the community got together, they found something or whatever, they could dig something up, and they turned a blacksmith can foundry anything out of the ground. So if they found iron ore, they found copper, they found something, they could have the blacksmith mint up coins or mint up something that they could use as an easy carry form of money. Easy form of exchange to exchange for goods and services. Something you could carry lightweight, you could carry it miles or whatever it is. But it was only, at that point, it would only be good as far as that community stretched. So now, as a community, let's do copper coins, copper rounds. Okay? They were all struck the same size, pretty close to the same weight or whatever. They were all close to being about the same. Close enough for the time that it would be acceptable. If I looked at two coins, they were close enough that both of them would be accepted at the same time. And when you start getting into merchants and mercantiles and stuff that has people that have stuff on the shelves that you can go get, you may have to do that dance again to sort out the value of what the money is to buy that good. But you're going in on the same page. I mean, like, we're both going in and knowing this isn't value, but both understanding that it needs value. It has to have value. It has to be usable. It has to be whatever. It makes setting a value to that quicker. So, for 3 oranges, it was 1 copper disc, or 5 oranges, 1 copper. It creates a value that I know for this copper disc, I can go get 3 oranges, or I can go get 3 eggs, or I can go get, for a couple more, I can go get a goat or a chicken or whatever. That value sorts out. And that's market. I'm not arguing it. That is the market sorting that out. And as it gets bigger and whatever, and now scarcity does kind of come into play because it's harder to get or whatever it is. Okay, the value will increase over time. It will. I mean, even if it's all the same, it will, because I'm going to want more for what I'm carrying. Okay, they're going to want to give. I'm going to want more, but it will sort out and it will get to a point. It will raise. And now if you get in, I mean, we're talking about one. If the people that are accepting it start to accept it at a lower value, it's no good anymore. So it has to come down to people accepting it for whatever. Now, people offering services can help alleviate that, because they can keep the value on that high and help keep that up. I mean, the economics do start to come into play when you start getting to that point. And somewhere, that value of that deal will get to a high enough point that everybody can use it, everybody's accepting it, everybody's okay with it, and it's all good. Okay. Where it starts to have the issue is when you try to take that coin outside of that community and get that same value somewhere else. That's where the economics and stuff comes in. But inside the community, I can go to any store, any place, any whatever, and I know what that disc has at that store, or that store, that store. And what keeps that value is the shop that I go into, and I give him that disc. The shop owner of that disc, can go to another store, any place, or barber shop, or whatever he needs that he can get from inside the community. He can get the same value for that same coin. And he takes it to somebody else. They can go somewhere else and get a haircut or whatever it is. They can get the same value for that coin. That's what makes that coin solid. What makes that value solid is the more it's changing hands and the more it's being used. The same coin. Track one coin. If it's going 7 different places and getting value from 7 different places, that's the value of that coin. And there needs to be a lot of transactions going on with the coins from different people, whatever. But we all need to be getting the same value. Buying power. And it will get to a point. It will evolve out. Okay. Now it may come, who knows? You know, government might come in, or somebody sets up a bank. I mean, somewhere along the line, banking's going to be set up and whatever, and that starts to change the game and stuff like that. Okay, but it will get to a level, to a point where it's stable, whatever, and we're accepting it, and it's like what it is. I mean, I can't say like what it is now, but if you go back to 1944, 45, when the dollar became the world reserve currency. It had a value pegged to gold. The dollar was worth whatever it was in gold. The system, the whole system evolved to that point. Okay. Yes, you had exchanges and all this other stuff come in, but the money itself evolved to that point through barter, because it's going to go through transitions. It's going to go through, but we're looking at the community. Not at the outside, at the community. If it's valued inside the community, and we can go anywhere in the community. Now see, Pi has the advantage because it can go anywhere in the world. If I'm here in the United States and I want to do business with somebody in England, I get the same value for that Pi in England. If I do business with somebody in Nepal, we get the same value for that Pi in Nepal, or Africa, or Australia, or wherever we're doing business. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, we can do business. And if the community is accepting it, and if the seller is accepting it, they're getting it, they can take it over to somebody else and get the same value for it. They can take that's value. That is Pi value. Okay. Now, when it comes to going outside and having about replacing goods, different issue. It's a different deal. Because you gotta remember, we're just starting. We haven't launched yet. We just got a value on Pi and the economy going, and goods and services in Pi are moving. Pi has to move a lot. Pi has to make a lot of transactions. We have to do a lot of business for Pi at that value. Inside of Pi. And I can hear it all. Well, I can't replace it. I'm not making a profit. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. Okay. If you're thinking that way, you're not, because you're thinking about yourself. You're not thinking about community and what it takes to get Pi going, to get Pi stable, to get Pi trustworthy. Yeah, you're not. You're worried about making a profit. You're worried about losing what you have. If you understand starting up and starting out, people that are selling goods, people that are supplying a service to the community will be the wealthy in pie down the road. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. Those that are looking to hang on to it, not and keep it, and whatever. You, even being this early, you probably do okay, but you won't do what you could have done. Because those that know, and here's one of my big things to counter the argument of, well, they're not going to be able to resupply their goods. We don't need to worry about them. We don't. We don't need to worry about how they're going to resupply goods in their store. We don't need to worry about how they're going to resupply those goods. They've already thought about it. Any businessman, any entrepreneur, anyone looking to benefit from the overall has already thought about it. Guaranteed. 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 Yeah, they know they're taking the risk, but they've already weighed their risk to reward. They already know when pie succeeds. If it succeeds, they know. Okay, they know there's a chance that pie may not succeed. They know that, and they're taking precautions and trying to safeguard the best they can against it. But they're not looking at if pie doesn't succeed. They're looking at when pie succeeds. They know when pie succeeds, their reward is there. They already know it. They already know it. All they're doing is waiting to get there. They also understand it's going to take time to get there. They also understand it's going to take a shift in thinking, but they're still willing to take the risk. Yeah. Because anybody coming in, if you're coming in looking to open a store and supply goods, and all you're working on is what you're working on with what you have in pie, you won't make it. You won't make it. For any business to succeed in this early stage of pie, has to have some other positive cash inflow. They have to. And if you're looking to open a business and not looking at it as opening a business outside, you're not looking at opening a business the right way in pie. You're not. You're not. Okay? Take pie out of the equation. Whatever bankroll you have, whatever your startup capital is right now. If you don't have any startup capital, you can't open a shop. Now, you might be able to produce something or provide a service, but you can't open a shop supplying goods. If you have no capital investment, you won't be able to open a shop in pie. You won't be able to keep a shop open long enough in pie to get you a return. Yeah. Okay. Take pie out of the equation. Wherever you live, you're going to start up whatever business you're looking to start up in pie. Whatever business it is. Offering coffee cups, t-shirts. That's the business you're going to go into in pie. You're going to offer t-shirts. T-shirts and coffee cups. And you have no startup capital for the last 3 to 5 years, so I wouldn't even try opening a business. Because any business that's going to open up on the outside is going to have enough operating capital to keep that shop open for at least 3 years. Any new business starting up takes 3 to 5 years to turn a profit. And if you don't have enough operating capital to keep that store afloat until you get a business, you get your clientele, until you get your foot traffic, until you get your online order, until you get whatever, you won't survive on the outside. You won't survive on the outside. Been there a couple of times. Okay. So, and if you're thinking you're going to be offering t-shirts and coffee cups on the outside, and you're going to be making a profit as soon as you open your doors, no, it ain't happening. And to say somebody's going to come in and buy your whole supply out, you're grabbing at straws. If you don't have enough operating capital to keep your store supplied for 3 to 5 years, because anybody starting out brand new that has no name, no brand, no nothing, you're opening a brand new business in a brand new economy on ground floor. See, here's what sets the thing apart. We're on ground floor. We're 20 million people into when we should. We are on ground floor. There is time. There is plenty of time to build name and brand for whatever you're looking to sell. Those brands and those names and those people are what's going to be the wealthy down the road. Because successful business people have a business plan, have income and profit and loss, income and whatever statement. I mean, they have numbers projected out on what they know, on what they okay. I don't know of anybody that has started a business that hasn't done it, whether it's an auto shop or pizza place or what, bar or whatever it is. And if you're not coming into pie looking to open a business in the same respect, same perspective, I will be real surprised if you make it in pie. Now, if you're offering service, that's a different issue. If you're offering goods, you have to have a business plan. You have to have something that's out 3 to 5 years. And if you have a positive cash flow from another venture outside or whatever it is, yeah, you're set. You're good. Because I don't care who you are, what you have to sell. You will not be profitable in the first year. At whatever value pie is. And if pie is valued too low, you will never make profit. Okay. It all plays into setting pie value. Okay. If you're going to open a shop, you have to be responsible yourself to open the shop. Not worried about when I'm going to get return. When am I going to get wealthy? When am I going to get... We're on the ground level. We're on the ground level. You build a successful business, you will be wealthy as time goes. Can't do anything but, man. Can't do anything but. If you're on the ground floor, nothing here. I mean, there's nothing here. Now, the community size is part of our value. But if they can't use pie, their pie, they're not going to use it. So it has to be high enough that they can use it. It will happen. You know, I've heard lots of words. I'm getting close. I've read this right now about wanting the profit, having to be profitable, having to be. Why? I just one question. Why? Coming in the pie, opening a business, you're going to be profitable the first day, first month. Why? Why would you even think that? You wouldn't be thinking that if you were opening that same shop outside. I gotta go. I talked long.